Facilities are paying more in fines right now than they ever spend on prevention. And most of them don't even realize it's happening until a surveyor is already in the building. That's what this video is about. This is a direct conversation about why wound care documentation failures are costing facilities hundreds of thousands of dollars in citations, litigation, and settlements, and what the actual fix looks like at the bedside level. If you're a frontline nurse trying to do right by your patients, this is for you. If you're a wound care clinician who's been doing this for years and you're still watching wounds progress on your watch, this is for you. If you're an administrator who just got a survey deficiency and you're trying to understand how it happened, this is especially for you. For those who don't know me, my name is Dr. Cassandra Voltaire, a wound care physician. I've healed hundreds of wounds across care settings. I presented at the Symposium on Advanced Wound Care. I'm a certified wound care physician, and I've served as an expert witness on a number of wound care litigation cases. Cases where I've had to sit across the table and explain to attorneys, to families, and to juries exactly what went wrong and when. So I've seen this from every angle: the bedside, the boardroom, the courtroom. And here's a question I want you to sit with as we go through this. If the documentation was there, if the training was consistent, if the wound was caught early, would the citation have happened at all? We're going to come back to that. Let's start at the beginning. Wound care and long-term care in skilled nursing facilities is not complicated in theory. You identify a wound, you assess it, you document it, you treat it, you reassess, you adjust and prevent. That's a cycle. That's what surveyors expect to see reflected in the medical record. But here's what actually happens in most facilities. A wound gets identified, maybe a stage 2 pressure injury on the sacrum, maybe a small area of skin breakdown on the heel. It gets noted, it gets a treatment order, and then it gets handed off from the admitting nurse to the floor nurse, from the day shift to the night shift, from the licensed nurse to the certified nursing assistant who's doing the actual repositioning. And somewhere in that handoff, the documentation starts to thin out. The assessment becomes less specific. The wound measurements stop appearing consistently. The language gets vague. For example, wound noted, dressing changed, no change. That's it. That's the entire entry. And I want you to understand something. That entry is not documentation. That's a liability waiting to be discovered. Because when a surveyor walks in, and they will walk in, they're not looking at the wound, they're looking at the record. They're reconstructing what happened to that patient over days, weeks, sometimes months, entirely from what was written down. So if the record doesn't show that the wound was measured weekly, the care plan was updated, when the wound changed, the physician was notified when the wound progressed, or the family was informed, then from a regulatory standpoint, none of that happened. It doesn't matter what the nurse remembers. It doesn't matter what the aide says she did every morning. If it isn't documented, it didn't happen. That's the standard. That is the rule. And facilities are being cited under that rule every single day. Now, let me tell you about a case. I'm going to describe a realistic scenario built from patterns I've seen repeated across multiple cases in my work as a consultant. I'm not identifying any specific facility or patient, but I want you to recognize this because if you work in long-term care, you may have seen something very close to this. A woman, let's call her Miss T, was admitted to a skilled nursing facility following a hip fracture repair. She was 78 years old. She had diabetes. She had mild cognitive impairment. She was not fully mobile. On admission, the nursing assessment noted intact skin. No wounds, no pressure injuries. That was documented clearly. 11 days later, a stage 2 pressure injury was identified on her sacrum. It was approximately 2 centimeters by 2 centimeters, shallow, open. The skin was broken, but the wound bed was visible. A treatment order was placed. A foam dressing was ordered. The care plan was updated to include a repositioning every 2 hours. Here's where it starts to fall apart. Over the next 3 weeks, the wound was documented inconsistently. Some days there were measurements. Some days there weren't. The repositioning log had gaps. Entire shifts where no repositioning was recorded. The wound care nurse assessed the wound twice during that period. Both assessments noted wound present, dressing intact, but no measurements. No wound bed description, no description of whether the wound was improving, stable, or worsening. At week 5, a different nurse, covering for the regular wound care nurse who was on vacation, assessed the wound and found something very different from what the record suggested. The wound was now approximately 6 centimeters by 5 centimeters. The wound bed had areas of slough. There was undermining at the wound edges. The surrounding skin was inflamed. This was no longer stage 2. This was a stage 4 pressure injury, full thickness tissue loss. The wound had progressed through 2 full stages in 5 weeks, and the medical record showed almost nothing about how or when that happened. The physician was notified that day. The family was called. A wound care consult was ordered, but by that point, Miss T required hospitalization. She developed a wound infection. She spent 3 weeks in the hospital. She never returned to her prior level of function. The family filed a complaint. A survey was triggered. The facility received a deficiency citation under F686, failure to prevent and treat pressure injuries. The citation was a scope and severity of G, meaning actual harm to a resident. The civil litigation that followed resulted in a settlement. And when I reviewed that case as an expert witness, here's what I found. The wound was identified appropriately. The initial treatment order was appropriate. The care plan was appropriate on paper, but the execution was invisible. The documentation didn't show consistent repositioning. It didn't show weekly wound measurements. It didn't show that anyone recognized the wound was progressing. It didn't show that the physicians was notified at any point between the initial identification and the day the covering nurse found a stage 4. The facility paid significantly more in that settlement than it would have cost to train every nurse on that unit in wound assessment and documentation, more than it would have cost to implement a weekly wound rounding protocol, more than it would have cost to hire a dedicated wound care nurse with protected time to do consistent assessments. That is the math that most facilities are not doing, and it's the math that is bankrupting them slowly. So let's talk about why this keeps happening, because it's not malice, it's not laziness, it's not that nurses don't care. In almost every case I've reviewed, the nurses care deeply. The aides were doing their best. The problem is systemic, and it has 3 roots. The first root is inconsistent training. Wound care education in most facilities is not standardized. A nurse who was trained 5 years ago at a different facility may have learned a completely different approach to wound staging, wound measurement, or wound documentation. A new graduate may have had one clinical rotation that touched on wound care briefly. A certified nursing assistant may have had no formal wound care education at all beyond a general orientation. And yet all these people are involved in the daily care of wounds. They're doing the repositioning, they're changing the dressing. They're the ones who first notice when something looks different. If they don't know what to look for, they can't report it. If they can't report it, it doesn't get documented. If it doesn't get documented, the wound progresses in silence. The second root is the handoff problem. Wound care information gets lost in shift changes. It gets lost when the regular wound care nurse is out. It gets lost when a patient transfers from one unit to another. There's often no reliable system for ensuring that the person who is caring for a wound today has access to a clear, current, accurate picture of what the wound looked like yesterday, last week, 2 weeks ago. Without that continuity, you cannot track progression. And if you cannot track progression, you can't intervene early. And if you can't intervene early, a stage 2 becomes a stage 4. The third root is the documentation culture. In many facilities, documentation is treated as a task to complete rather than a clinical record to build. Nurses are charting at the end of a 12-hour shift when they're exhausted. They're using templates that don't guide them to include the specific details that matter. Wound dimensions, wound bed, characteristics, para-wound skin condition, patient response to treatment, changes in the wound since the last assessment. They're writing wound noted, dressing changed, because that's what fits in the time they have. And no one is auditing those records in real time to catch the gaps before a surveyor does. These 3 things together, inconsistent training, broken handoffs, and a documentation culture that prioritizes just get it done over accuracy, create the conditions for exactly what happened to Ms. T. And they create the conditions for survey deficiencies, litigation, and settlements that dwarf the cost of prevention. I want to pause here for a moment because I know that some of you watching this are caring a lot. You're working at facilities that are understaffed. You're doing the work of 2 people. You're trying to provide good care under conditions that make good care genuinely difficult. And you're watching wounds progress, and you're not always sure what you could have done differently or what you should be doing now. That's exactly why the Wound Care Circle exists. The Wound Care Circle is a community, a space where wound care clinicians, nurses, and administrators come together for real-world guidance, not textbook theory. Not vendor presentations, real case breakdowns, weekly clinical guidance, honest conversations about what's working and what isn't. If you're navigating a difficult wound, a documentation question, a survey concern, or just trying to build your confidence in wound care decision-making, the Wound Care Circle is where you belong. The link is in the description. Now let's talk about what prevention actually looks like, because the answer is not complicated. It's just not being done consistently. The first thing a facility needs is a wound identification protocol that starts at admission. Every patient who enters a skilled nursing facility should have a full skin assessment within the first 24 hours. That assessment should be documented with specificity, not skin intact. Skin is intact where? What does the sacrum look like? What do the heels look like? What does the skin over the bony areas look like? If there's any area of concern, any redness that doesn't blanch, any skin that looks different from the surrounding tissue, any area that the patient reports as painful or tender, that needs to be documented with a description, a measurement, and a photograph if your facility has that capability. That baseline documentation is your protection. It is the record that shows what the patient's skin looked like when they arrived. Without it, you cannot defend against a claim that a wound developed on your watch when it may have been present on admission. The second thing a facility needs is a weekly wound rounding protocol with a designated wound care clinician who has protected time to do it. Not a nurse who's also responsible for medication administration and 12 other patients. A clinician whose job during that time is to assess every wound in the building, measure it, describe it, compare it to last week's assessment, and make a clinical judgment about whether the current treatment plan is working. If the wound is improving, document that. If the wound is stable, document that. If the wound is worsening, that is a clinical event that requires a physician notification, a care plan update, and a family notification. All that needs to be in the record. The third thing a facility needs is a training program that's not a one-time event. Wound care education needs to be ongoing. It needs to reach every level of staff, licensed nurses, certified nursing assistants, therapy staff, dietary staff. Because pressure injury prevention is not just a nursing responsibility. It involves repositioning. It involves nutrition. It involves moisture management. It involves mobility. Every person who touches that patient is part of the prevention team. And every person on that team needs to know what they're looking for and what to do when they see it. The fourth thing, and this is the one that most facilities underestimate, is real-time documentation audit. Someone needs to be reviewing wound care documentation on a regular basis and flagging gaps before a surveyor finds them. Are wounds being measured weekly? Are physician notifications being documented? Are care plan updates happening when wounds change? Are repositioning logs complete? These are not difficult questions to answer if someone is looking. The problem is that in most facilities, no one is looking until a survey is already underway. Let me tell you what it looks like when a facility gets it right, because I've seen that too. I consulted with a facility that had received a wound-related deficiency citation and was working to rebuild their wound care program. They implemented a weekly wound rounding protocol. They hired a wound care nurse with protected time. They trained every floor nurse on wound staging and documentation. They implemented a real-time audit of wound care records. They created a communication system so that wound information followed the patient through every shift change and every unit transfer. Within 6 months, their wound occurrence had decreased. Their documentation was consistent. When surveyors came back, the wound care records told a clear, coherent story of assessment, intervention, and response. There were no gaps. There were no vague entries. There was a record that showed exactly what happened to every wound in that building and exactly what the clinician team did about it. That facility did not receive a wound-related deficiency on that survey, and they have not received one since. The cost of building that program was a fraction of what the original citation and associated litigation had cost them. That is the math. That is the argument for prevention. And it's not a complicated argument. It's just one that requires someone in leadership to make the decision that prevention is worth investing in before the surveyor arrives. Before you do anything else after watching this, I want you to think about 5 things. First, when was the last time your facility did a full skin assessment on every resident and documented it with specificity, not a checkbox, a real description? Second, when was the last time a wound in your building was measured, described, and compared to the previous week's assessment in a way that would hold up under surveyor scrutiny? Third, when was the last time a wound progressed and the record showed exactly when it changed, who was notified, and what was done in response? Fourth, when was the last time your staff, all of your staff, not just the wound care nurse, received education on pressure injury prevention and documentation? Fifth, when was the last time someone audited your wound care documentation before a surveyor had the chance to? These 5 questions will tell you where your facility stands. They will tell you whether you're building a record that protects your patients and your organization, or whether you're building a record that a plaintiff's attorney will use against you. Noticing the gaps is only half the story. The other half is knowing exactly what to do to close them. And that is what we're going to cover in this next video. I'll walk you through a step-by-step wound documentation framework that is practical, defensible, and designed for the realities of long-term care. Stay informed and heal well.